Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there.
I never asked for this.
Long promised, often spoken of, now actually here, H3H3 DLC. And we damn sure didn't ask for this. Or actually, kinda did. When the question was asked, and it was asked multiple times, who's responsible for this, the answer is us. When H3H3 appeared as an April Fool's Easter egg, everyone thought it was so funny. Oh my god, this is hilarious. They need to do this for real. And Overkill, being the admittedly conciliatory people they are, said, okay, hell, the Chivalry TLC worked out so well and that started off as a joke, why not this? But now, it's not just a joke. Now it's Payday 2 DLC, a DLC which is, rather awkwardly, released after Payday 2 was already bundled all neatly together into the Ultimate Edition. Something that was supposed to bind all the incredibly disparate DLC together and say, this is Payday. Oh, well, there's this little bit sticking out here, so let's not even pay attention. $4.99 though, please, for charity or something. Okay, so the way I'm talking about this makes it sound like I don't like this pack, just from the outset, the very idea of it. Well, right off the bat, I've got a conflict of interest not of my making. I've been watching H3 for around a year and a half now, and I like their content. I understand that the pack was meant to help them out of their legal financial troubles, but everything about it is just so out of place, kind of like the Alesso heist. I don't really want to be put in the position of criticizing them either, but that's kind of what I do here. I also have to put myself nose first in front of H3's massive fan base in order to cover this fairly, and you know what? I'm just gonna have to do that, because there's some stuff to talk about here. Let's start at the top. The very first thing anyone would notice is the visage of Ethan and Hila themselves. I get that they're supposed to look a little funny, and we're not talking fupa here, we're talking some other problems. First of all, Hila's body model looks like a deformed marionette. I think that's because they took her arm, shoulder, neck proportions and stretched them out to the standard female heister body model. There's no way this is a custom rig just for her, and it really should be. Hila has a very slim body type, slimmer even than any of the female heisters, and just sticking her proportions onto a standard body model results in these not quite right poses and animations. Also, what's up with her face? It's not entirely unlike Hila Klein, but it looks like one of those mildly off facsimiles of other celebrity heisters who are supposed to not look like the original. This face model looks like a slimmed down female Agent Smith, and that's just wrong. Now, when it comes to Ethan, the diesel engine does very well with his face itself, probably because it was designed from the bottom up to render big, hairy Eastern European faces. When we get to the body model, we're running into some of the same problems. Ethan does not have a large frame, but we're sticking his head and neck onto a somewhat larger standard male heister frame. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here, but I'm getting a slightly stretched look in the neck area, not to mention some weird clipping on the shoulders themselves. I think we might be able to blame Diesel for some of this, but for the rest... Again, I've watched H3H3 for a while now. These people don't look like this. No people look like this. Freakish abominations. These are probably the worst body models in the game to date, and that's not Ethan and Hila's fault. Hey, it's fixable, right? And that's just the way they look. How about the way they sound? I think we can separate the majority of Payday 2 heister voiceovers into having two qualities, cool or funny. Do Ethan and Hila cover those bases? On the serious note, neither Ethan or Hila are professional voiceover actors, and you don't have to be in order to give a good voiceover, but for a Payday heister, you have so little to work with. These aren't long soliloquies being given here. A vast majority of these lines are 3 to 4 words, tops. There is so very little time to provide a good, serious performance. You really have to rely on gravitas, which is an acquired skill most people have to work years, if not decades at. A big part of H3's appeal is that they're goof-offs. They're normal people who enjoy themselves and don't take too much seriously. So cool isn't even what we're going for here, and unfortunately so many of their lines have to be ones delivered in a serious way, or else the whole "we're robbing a bank" premise gets totally lost. I admire their attempt. I just don't think that sounding like hardened criminals is really in their wheelhouse, as delightful normal people without serious stage training. And that should be funny, right? But I really didn't find many of their lines funny at all. In fact, I was cringing a whole lot. I had to think for a good long time about why that was, because I find Ethan and Hila both genuine and genuinely funny on their YouTube channel. But not at all here. Humor is quite a logical thing. A huge amount of the humor on the H3 channel involves Ethan making a broad, overgeneralized caricature of something or someone and then laughing at it, like, "That's really crazy, right? Nobody acts like that. Nobody sits there and thinks, 'Hey everybody, I'm a smug millennial jack-off with a battery in my mouth and a backwards baseball cap. Watch as I blow smoke into little kids' faces.' But that's what these guys look like, am I right?" And as he makes that caricature, he laughs at it, playing the straight man to that caricature, oftentimes while he's playing the caricature itself, coughing constantly while vaping in inappropriate places, for example. When it comes to being in Payday 2, in the pager and control lines mostly, Ethan is playing that goofy caricature, but there's no time for him or anybody else to play the straight man, and you only miss something when it's gone. The joke isn't complete, and there's nobody who can complete it. Ethan doesn't have time to make the whole joke, and the other heisters are a motley crew of crazy people. Even if they wanted to play the straight man, they are very limited in terms of what they can say or respond to. If this had been a video, it might have worked out. The heisters are straight-faced criminals. This is a life or death situation. They're risking everything to rob a bank, and there are these two jokers who are taking selfies and talking about vaping. The problem is that we're introducing a cameo into a game that's already pretty much finished. They have to provide all the context and humor themselves. The other heisters don't have time to provide any context, really. They can't react to Ethan's hijinks on a practical level. They're just doing their own thing, like they're programmed to. For this kind of fish out of water or self-referential joke, you kind of have to build the rest of the entire game around the fact that you're making this joke, or it's not going to work. That's why I'm so apathetic about any kind of original comedy in H3's cameo. It's not funny, it kind of can't be the way it's set up. Having H3 in Payday 2 isn't funny just by itself either. If it was a surprise, like the April Fool's thing was, it might have been funny, but we saw this coming a whole long way off. We had time to prepare, and just the fact that H3 are in a game without any context isn't really funny on its own merits, but that's what all their jokes are about. Hey, isn't it crazy that we're in this game? Here are jokes that we do when we're not in the game, and if you've heard them before, you'll recognize them, but we're not going to tell the whole joke again, we're just going to reference it in the hopes that you've heard it before, which you probably have, because we're H3H3. Isn't that funny? Connor pointed this out in his video, and I totally agree. The problem here is that H3H3 aren't playing characters in the game, they're playing themselves as YouTubers. This is a universe that has to accommodate eco-terrorist surfers, high-class assassins, reality-bending cokeheads, teletape-wielding psychopaths, and now two YouTubers who are quite obviously performing a cameo. Go to the safe house. This is just perfect. Go to the safe house and you'll see John Cleese, legend of stage and screen, playing a character suited to his reputation, next to Ron Perlman, also legend of B cinema, playing a character suited to his reputation. And right next to them, you have two YouTubers asking infamous criminals to follow them on social media. You know what the best cameo was in the last year? Thor Ragnarok, a movie that treated itself only as seriously as it needed to in order to remain faithful to the source material, had, and spoiler alert by the way, Matt Damon playing an actor playing a dying Loki. This was fantastic on so many different levels. It came totally out of left field. Matt Damon is known for performing cameos, so it's a character bit on his part. He's also known as a bit of a ham, and the character he was playing was hamming up a portrayal of a character who is himself a ham. He certainly wasn't playing himself in a movie about intergalactic superheroes. He was also there for like 3 shots. If you got up to use the bathroom, you'd have missed it. Like most of the rest of the movie, it was a little bit subtle and tone perfect. Even if you didn't know who Matt Damon was, the situation itself was funny, and the fact that it was a cameo was all the better on top of that, and made the movie better for its inclusion. The H3H3 cameo is in your face from the get-go. They're not treating themselves like they're part of a bigger overall work. They're H3H3, they're celebrities. Change is gonna ask him for their autograph because he's such a big fan. What's up, everybody? Here with our new friends, the Payday Gang, and we're gonna rob a bank with our new best friends, the Payday Gang. Here come the memes, buckaroos. But they can't meme all the time, they're in a bank robbing game, so they did the bank robbing part seriously to play along with the premise, but they're not really bank robbers, they're YouTubers playing a cameo, so they meme about themselves while they're robbing a bank. Apathy. That's really all I have for the character part of the pack. And that's not a really good start, is it? Well, if you thought the weapons would take us out of this hole, you'd be wrong.
We made the whole DLC with the team. We figured out the character, the weapon, the deck, we planned it all together.
We've got a melee. Cue another clip of me dying while trying to melee somebody. It's useless, and it uses the same animations as the Zweihander, which, along with Hila's rigging, makes a total of 2 shortcuts Overkill took to make this pack. The new crossbow does 50 less damage than the light crossbow, but has 5 shafts in the rack and shoots fairly quickly. It's just a straight reskin upgrade from the light crossbow, designed as one more one-down fodder stuck behind a paywall. I also thought that the power creep would be over and done with once the Ultimate Edition was out, but they couldn't help pushing just one more balance-dissolving crossbow that you pay for in this pack. I enjoy using the crossbow. It's fun to fill the cops with barb bolts, poison bolts, explosive bolts, but it's the same problem we've seen time and time and time again in this game. If Payday 2 really actually wants to sunset, at some point they're going to have to do a major overhaul of all the weapon damages to make all of this make sense, and I thought that that's what the Ultimate Edition was for. The last item in the pack is the perk deck, and I have to say, this is legitimately the best part of the pack. There was only one deck, Gambler, that lets you provide health regen to another player. Tag Team is now the second. You select a player who's close to you, 10 meters, and then activate your smoke dispenser. God. And that activates the deck. Every kill you make at that point will regenerate health points for you, and half of those for your new partner. Like with Kingpin, this only lasts for a little while, then you have to wait a refresh period, which can be shortened by more kills. This is a really cool idea, but you need a target for the vape, and they have to be next to you. If you're on your own in any capacity, heaven forbid everyone else is down, then your perk deck is rendered completely useless. In my estimation, perk decks should be there to help you out in a pinch, not something where if all the other conditions are right, then it does the bare minimum of what other perk decks do, only potentially slower and with a cooldown. It's a really cool idea, but come time for execution, and it goes up in smoke. Oh. I said before that I didn't like or dislike this pack. I don't dislike what this pack was trying to do, but I dislike the outcome. I like H3H3, I don't like them in this game. I like new weapons, I don't like these new weapons. I don't even want to say that this was a pack that could have had potential. It's a pack based off an April Fool's joke that some people took seriously. Even if you like H3H3, I don't think that this format does them justice. They just came off as out of place and kinda cringy.
We made the whole DLC.
Maybe if you meme long enough, you live to see yourself become the meme. Even if this pack was originally meant to be sold to help Ethan and Hila out of a tough situation, I don't know if it was worth it. And on that note, this pack certainly isn't worth $4.99. It might have been better if Ethan and Hila were playing original characters, but that just wasn't the case. I guess the real lesson here is always doeth as doth Matt Damon. If they had, I think this pack would have been much better off.